Is that not it? Oh,
This is What's Up and Why, bringing you the bright side of life one fun moment at a time. Brought to you by the New Thought Media Network. Please put your hands together for your hosts, Rev Casey Taylor and Miss B Lovely.
clap it up in a circle. Welcome back, y'all. Welcome back. Excuse the little technical stuff, but you wouldn't know for real, for real. We was just talking about technology and how even though it's supposed to be, I thought it was supposed to be making our lives easier. It kind of does the opposite.
Yep, I was saying it's all a scam. It's a trap. That's what I believe. But I'm grateful that technology brings us together. Be lovely. My name is Reverend Casey Taylor. I use they them pronouns.
Yes, and I am Be Lovely, she, her pronouns. Happy Pride Month.
Happy
We are in the month
Pride.
of June. I'm actually surprised you're not wearing, wait, is that a pride? No, it's not a pride shirt, but hey, you're protecting your peace.
That is what I'm doing. It's Pride 365. I'm trying to remember if I had on a Pride shirt yesterday either. I am I've been spending very little time in the world. In fact, for Pride Month this year, I am probably just a combination of staying in the house and hanging out in a youth shelter that is absolutely LGBT affirming. So I'm out here supporting the LGBT homeless youth, unhoused youth of Oklahoma City, and that's what I'm doing this month.
We love that. We love that. Speaking of Oklahoma City, the NBA, not really a sports person, but I did hear the news about Oklahoma not making it back to the finals. Wait, you just said that you haven't really been outside like that. So do you even have like a gauge for like how the temperature is in Oklahoma City after that loss?
Right? Because like I mean, when I got back from Asia, this whole city was thunder up. There were banners, all of this art in the streets, everything was the downtown lights were glowing with the OKC Thunder logo. And to your point, I have not been out in the streets since that game loss. And I don't know. I imagine all of the banners just kind of quietly disappeared. That's my guess as to what.
It's like we're just gonna quietly take this down now. I get that. But congrats to the New York Knicks and is it the Spurs? Oh my
It
goodness,
is
how am
the
I gonna
Spurs, yeah.
Yes, okay. Look at me. I know a little bit of sports stuff. Congrats to them. But besides being in the LGBTQ youth shelter and like kind of low key being more low key, how you be? How you been?
Well, I was thinking about, mentioning the youth shelter. On our last show, I was actively raising money for to bring some youth advisors to a Black spiritual conference in Kansas City in August, and I'm happy to report that we raised all $4,000 of those funds, and I'm realizing that I've been in this season of prosperity, despite the fact that it's not looking the way that prosperity, the way that I would necessarily want it to look. It started for all things with me when I'm facing a challenge. Prayer is the absolute first thing that I go to. Like when I was in Asia and I had like Asia was a whole adventure, and I had these moments of, ooh, I don't know how I'm gonna get out of this. I'm gonna pray about it. I prayed about it, and God intervened as all of the people around me who came together and made whatever I need get my needs met and taken care of. And because I was in Asia living my best life, I came back to like no money in my bank account, and I was like, all right, let me pray on it. And what praying on it has looked like is, I was going to say it hasn't been dollars, but it has. It's absolutely been dollars. All kinds of unexpected income has come my way. So much so that literally somebody walked into my office with a check and was like, are you into some unexpected income today? I found this check that we forgot to give you. Like, it has been, I've had a combination of money coming in, but also just like my needs being met, basics, groceries, right? Like I will invite somebody to my house for dinner. and then they show up with a vegan meal kit and they're like, let's make this together. So it's just like people been taking me out to eat, people been treating me, sending me food. My mom's been sending me vegan tuna and all kinds of vegan mac and cheese showing up at my door. So I'm in this season of abundance and I am enjoying it. What
That's
about
a blessing. That's a blessing. I'm happy to hear that you're in a season of abundance and how you're really leaning into your faith and looking at the faith and not looking at, what's in front of you. Because like I know from what I've learned growing up, in a Christian household and everything and in the Bible and stuff, and Jesus had said, don't worry about anything, but pray about everything. And, look to the birds in the sky. They don't have to worry about the food they eat. They don't have to worry about the clothes on their back. And I take care of them. Aren't you more important than the birds? So it's like when life gets hard, I have to remember that because it's like, yeah, even though things may look bleak sometimes, I still have a roof over my head. I still get food on my table. I still have clothes on my back, reliable transportation. And it's by faith, for real, for real. Because sometimes it be looking like I don't know how it's going to happen. It is literally because the Holy Spirit is protecting me and guiding me.
Yes, yes, yes. And I'm looking at homeless youth every day who don't have the certainty of having a roof over their heads. Anything could come along and make them lose their bed tomorrow or whatever it may be. And so that concept of recognizing that each youth that walks in that place, and it's, when I speak to faith, and this is the value of this show, that when we speak to faith, we are not talking about this very specific idea of God and this concept that my concept of God is the right one and everybody else is wrong. That it doesn't matter what it is. It's not about whether a youth believes in an entity out there or an entity inside, but when we operate from a trusting and knowing that this situation that they're in, but like starting their lives, starting adulthood in this experience where they don't have housing stability and they don't know where their next meal is going to come from and they don't know where they're going to get $1 so that they can have an ID to get a job, that faith is the ones that believe in themselves, that operate from confidence, that believe in something of operating from faith. Like they're the ones who move right out, move right on, and are living comfortably to some extent, beyond the comfort of living in a homeless shelter,
Oh, wow. And so I like how you worded that. That's going to lead us into our next segment. Are we talking about, what's going on in the pop culture? Somebody else who leaned in faith instead of the evidence that was in front of them, and it brought them to a fruitful venture is Marlon and Sean Wayans. So the Wayans brothers, they're teaming up again for a new scary movie. They are coming back to the franchise. There's a whole history behind it, and I'm really excited behind it because I love the first two with Keenan Ivory Wayans as the director and writer, Sean and Marlon as writers. Like it was really funny. It was it's very timeless. Like you can go back now and like it's still hilarious. But then
I watched those in the theater back in the day, like in the theater. I remember it clearly.
I was like 6 or 7 years old when it came out, and both my mom and dad took me and my little brother to the theaters to see it. They didn't realize how raunchy it was gonna be, but I remember, and I was like, "Man, this is amazing!" So, like, I'm really excited for this because, like, they make stuff that really makes you, like, full belly laugh. And it's a good time.
Yep.
Yeah, but like how was what I was saying earlier, like how he had faith. The reason why Scary Movie 3, 4, and 5 was not as great as the first two is because the Weinstein Company removed the Wayans brothers from the projects and started trying to create it as their own. And as we all saw, it was a box office disaster, and also the audiences did not like it because the Wayans brothers, they just have the sauce. So we all know what happened with Harvey Weinstein. Marlon Wayans was able to secure the rights to the Scary Movie franchise again so that he and his brothers could write, produce, direct, and star in it. And in a recent interview, he was talking about how at first he wasn't going to do it, But his father, like on his deathbed, had said, I one of the last things I want is for you and your brothers to work together again. And so Marlon said, like, he prayed, asked God to show him the way and what to do, and God put it on his heart to create Scary Movie 6. And now everybody's excited. They've been doing a lot of promo. And he keeps saying it's time for the world to laugh again because it's been so much doom and gloom, and he wants people to go out to the theaters and laugh. So I'm going to be doing that. I can't wait to see this movie. Are you going to go see it?
Are we gonna go? Yeah, are we gonna see it in Charlotte? We were talking about, our other cousin said that's what we were gonna do.
I forgot about that. Thank you for the reminder. Yes, we are gonna do that.
All right.
It'll be a family movie. That'll be a good time.
Yes.
Everybody getting together watching it. So if you want to have a good laugh, Scary Movie 6 is going to be out in theaters worldwide starting this Friday. Something else that's happening in pop culture that I thought was really interesting was this new study that shows that the younger generation, people between the ages of 13 and 24, they don't like the music that's being released today. So they don't like any music from the 2020s. And recently they're actually going back to music that was made before they was born. And do you know what the most popular decade is for music?
I'm gonna guess the 90s.
Yes, the 90s is it. And I get it because, like, when you look at 90s R&B, 90s hip hop, 90s pop, 90s dance and club, like, it's everything. It's so much soul, it's so much sass, it's so much flavor in it.
I love the Hollywood Reporter article that you sent me about it. The opening line was something like, "Did you think that the decade of music you grew up in was the best? Well, you might be right." And the 90s was my decade. So to have, like, come of age at that time, like, I mean, you know what a Mariah fan I was before the name Lamely was even a thing. I was a Mariah
Yes.
fan. And to see the ways in which that you have responded just as strongly to Mariah's music as I did growing up, that, like, for me, it's really proven. It's kind of like how we started the show talking about technology. And I think there's this I'm recognizing that the companies that make the decisions around what the music they're going to invest their time and energy in, what technology they invest their time and energy, I'm finding the decision makers are so disconnected from the standard, from the people who they serve and are creating content for, that it makes sense to me. And it feels like the 90s is around the time, that's when the internet came around and created this opportunity for people for the next generations to have access to earlier generations of music. In the 90s, there was no Spotify. We had no way of accessing. I didn't know how to, like, the Rolling Stones is like something I'd never heard. And, like, I didn't know how to find that. So, like, the kids that grew up in the generation after me, after you, even, you grew up in a generation, you had access to those things. But I love that the music industry has made some sort of shifts where the music from the last, like, 6 years has been sound-wise very similar to the 90s. And so, like, there's been this kind of, like, I noticed, like, new music kind of feels reminiscent of old music. And, that this decade, like, I would say, like, post-internet, we haven't figured out our identity yet. Like, that's all the mess that we're experiencing right now. It's an identity crisis now that the internet has thrown wrenches in our whole way of being and doing.
And I just think, like, the whole nostalgia of what the 90s represented in people's experiences and stuff is something that's, like, really, really resonating and really growing. Like, we're seeing it with revivals and remakes, like with the Bel Air reimaging. What is it called? The one that's Debbie Allen, A Different World coming back. Like a remake of A Different World. They had Fuller House. They had a remake of Boy Meets World and stuff. Like, the 90s is really popular. And it's very, that feeling of nostalgia, wanting to go back to, like, when things was easier, more peaceful, things was loose and carefree and stuff. That's what the people want.
It was also a decade where diversity was hot. Like, we didn't racism, like, sure, racism was a thing, but, like, it was socially unacceptable to be racist. Where we're living in a very different era where people are feeling very empowered to be openly racist. And though I think that that's important. I think for our evolution as a culture, that people need to feel empowered to express themselves authentically. It was nice to grow up in this era of Boys to Men and Mariah Carey
Yes.
uh, and this era where we were moving in the direction towards the possibility of an Obama who could be president, where where we are now.
Yeah, where we are now is going to take us into our next segment, Do Better Blues, which is kind of piggybacking off of this about how racism is running rampant right now in society. So earlier this week in South Carolina, a jury found a store owner not guilty of murder for the 2023 killing of a 14-year-old boy. His name was Cyrus Carmack Belton. So he was believed to be stealing 4 water bottles from a convenience store. The convenience store owner, I'm not even gonna, his last name is Chow. So he chased the boy down. The boy was already out the store, chased the boy down, shot him in the back, and he eventually died. But it turns out the young 13-year-old, he wasn't even stealing anything, but he was 14 years old. I'm sorry. He wasn't even stealing anything. And the thing that really gets me is that, okay, if you're wanting to protect your product and stuff, maybe this store owner has been hit multiple times with theft and he got fed up. But I don't see in what world it makes sense to take someone's life over 4 bottles of water. This child was not found with the 4 bottles of water, so he wasn't even stealing. This kid lost his life for no reason at all. And it kind of reminds me of the incident that happened back in the 90s with the this young black teenager who was shot and killed in a convenience store in LA by a convenience store owner because the owner thought she was stealing like a soda or something. I can't remember.
Orange
Her,
juice.
you said what?
I said it was orange juice. I don't remember her name either. But
Yeah.
that was the incident that started the Watts riots, and the Spike Lee movie "Do the Right Thing" is inspired by those events.
I wish I had her name off the top of my head. Rest in peace to her. But I don't want to put any assumptions, but to me, I feel like it has a lot more to do with anger and racism than it has to do with protecting your store property. Because if it was really about that, you could have just called police, had them look at the convenience store video, and get the police involved to find this kid. But to actually run down on a child and shoot them multiple times in the back because you thought that they were stealing bottles of water, which is something that God put on this earth for us to enjoy for free. So let's talk about that first of all. But I'm just so sick of the complete disregard for life and when people allow their emotions to take over, because this is definitely something that was fueled by emotion, heat of the, what is it called? Heat of the moment. But I also feel like there was some underlying prejudice and racism, because why jump to that level of violence over 4 bottles of water? And so I just need us to do better and care more about life.
The Spike Lee movie really spoke to the cultural tension that existed. That movie was set in New York, and the incident that you're speaking to was in LA, and this specific incident was in South Carolina. And as you kind of alluded to in the story in particular, there is this throughout the United States, within Black neighborhoods, there is this tension between Asian immigrants and the Black community, where Asian immigrants own businesses in the Black community. Black people do not own businesses in the Black community. They're frequenting the beauty supply stores, the convenience store, the corner store. There is this tension between the fact that Asian immigrants own these businesses, but do not contribute to the community. And the community has this tension between feeling very disrespected by these owners that are making money, profiting from being in their communities without engaging and interacting in a healthy way, doing things like shooting the children instead of sponsoring the local baseball team. And so as is being pointed out, Do the Right Thing was made in like 1990 something. Like, here we are talking about the 90s. I love this has been a throwback episode. In this recognition that, despite the fact that the concept of inclusivity, like inclusion, was not a word we had, we didn't use it in that way in the 90s, like we use it in the aughts and the 2000s. But this is an age-old situation that has continued to fester in Black neighborhoods, and it comes to a head that way. And sometimes it leads to a riot. And here we are in 2026, still haven't identified what is ours to do to really create this change and this shift. So I think with that said, it's a good idea to transition to pivot to our next segment, which is giving reverence. And I've been thinking a lot about this for the last couple of weeks because we were dark last week. I really went down like a deep dive rabbit hole of what good news is going on right now. Like, went to those like good news websites that tell you like what are the things to celebrate. And even those things, like none of them were like, this feels like the thing that needs to be shared. People need to know that this really cool thing happened. And so as I continue to sit with it, I realize that this show, being on New Thought Media Network, being a spiritual themed concept, like, and giving reverence to something and someone, I've never given reverence to the divine. And I was like, what better time than now? Like, there's nothing that I'm going to find that's going to be better to give reverence to for now in this moment, just because I never have. And it is long overdue to give reverence to the divine. Because when we are looking at things like American challenges that not only haven't been resolved in 50 years, but also have no clear resolution in sight. What gives me comfort is knowing that each one of us is on our own perfect journey, that it does not serve me or anyone else to judge the circumstances. Sure, we can inspire one another to do better. So I'm grateful that that's what we do on this show. But as we talked about earlier, faith is powerful. Like there is something significant about looking at the challenges of our lives, our personal lives, looking at the challenges of our community and being like, my judgment doesn't serve or support this situation at all. But what I can do is I can pray about it, and I can have faith and trusting and knowing that God's in charge of all of this. God knows what to do, how to do it, and who to talk to make it all happen. So faith is powerful.
Yes, it is. And it's always good to lean into faith because faith can get you through the dark times that life tries to throw at us.
Indeed.
And with that, let's give folks, something to look forward to. What you got on the slate this week for making peace with your inner shit talker?
Yes, I like to jump around with making peace with your inner shit talker. And because I'm on this gratitude for the divine phase right now, I wanted to throw it back to day 8 of the program, which is the section is called God Shit. And this is in day 8. This is like day 3 of the God Shit section. The reflection question for this day is there anything you'd like to change about your relationship with spirit? So I'm going to ask you, Be Lovely, do you have anything you'd like to change about your relationship with spirit?
I'd like to get closer with spirit because I used to be heavy into my devotional, heavy into my reading, heavy into my praying multiple times throughout the day, and just like reflecting on the goodness that the spirit has gotten me through. But I've been letting work and lack of sleep and life separate me from that. And I feel like as I'm separating, I'm kind of losing my anchor. And I realize I need to really get back and be intentional about spending time with the Holy Spirit in prayer, in thought, in reading my texts and stuff so I can feel more connected to the vine that helps to make me feel anchored in life and gives me my purpose.
I guess this question was for you today, then. I'm glad that it came up. 'Cause there is so much value in finding your anchor, like you've been talking about with. I find for me, when I lose my anchor, and those practices are what keeps you anchored, that work and life get harder and heavier. And so it's like for me, it's this reminder that this is what I need to do when work and life gets harder and heavier. It's really just this reminder that if I was centered in my practice, work and life would be easier. So I might as well make that shift right now. I can honestly say for me, it's less about the practices and more about the recognition of the divine in the moments that are I wouldn't even say the hardest ones. Let's just say like the mundane ones. When I'm feeling just not great and not myself, it's been really nice to recognize that I have the power of choice, that I can pray about shifting the energy, pray around shifting the moment, and most recently, the quality that I'm like that I was invited to explore yesterday was my relationship to self sabotage, which is something that I've never really dove into before, and I've been realizing that as I'm exploring what self sabotage means for me, that all that is operating in a way that is disconnected from the divine. So I'm just like, I'm looking, I'm exploring, and I'm recognizing that any temptation to sabotage
Mhm.
whatever it is really a absence of recognizing the divine in that moment. And so that's just what I'm doing. I'm staying present with it. I am trusting the divine, and I am breaking my bad habits of self-sabotage one moment at a time, one fun moment at a time.
That makes me think of the gospel song, "Break every chain."
Oh, maybe I'll play that. All right.
Break every chain. Yes.
Yes.
So as we come to a close with this lovely program, I think that you ended us out really, really nicely. Reflecting on, is there anything that you want to change about your relationship with spirit? So anybody out there, if this really resonates with you, just take your time, do a little, deep breaths, and sit with this question and try to figure out how moving into the weekend, how you can change your relationship with spirit, because I'm definitely going to be doing that. I can't wait for my meditation session. But yes, thank you for that. Did you have any closing gems that you wanted to drop
You
before
were the one
we
who drops the gems. I'm the one who prays us out. So you got one for me so I could pray us out?
hmm yes, I'm going to take it back to what I said earlier. When it comes to faith, whenever things may look like it's rough, because I know there's a lot going on, with the economy, the job market, food, it's crazy out there. But always remember, do not worry about stuff. Go to prayer. Prayer can bring you peace, prayer can give you clarity, and it just may open up the door to your next blessing. But don't worry about what you see in front of you, because the divine can do divine things, okay? Your situation can change in an instant. And with that is the last of my gem droppery.
All right, I'm here for it. It is a great invitation for us to pray together, knowing that wherever we are in time and space, that we have been guided to this sacred moment to remember that there is a good in the universe, that there always has been and always will be. And I am grateful for our decision to show up as that good, to lean into the brighter side of life one fun moment at a time, to remind ourselves and each other of the power of prayer. And I'm grateful for the shift that takes place in our lives as we identify in what ways we want to shift our relationship with spirit, to lean on our own understanding of spirit, expand and apply what we've learned, and trusting and knowing that whatever needs to shift in our lives is being shifted as a result of participating in prayer here and now. And in gratitude, I invite us to close this prayer however we are most comfortable. I choose to close by saying, and so it is.
Amen. I love that. I really love this episode. This was really good for my soul this week.
Yay.
Yay. Well, thank you guys for joining us for another episode of What's Up and Why. We will see you guys again next time. Until then, be well.
Have the best week ever.
Bye.